It's 10:30, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a special Commissioners Court meeting, County of Starr, Monday, January 29th, 10:30. Let the record show that we do have quorum, everyone being present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a short meeting. We only have three items really. The first one is an action item, is to approve PO number 107-871 to Lone Star National Bank in the amount of $2,499,953.89. And I believe this is the amount that's owed, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. This is the principal payment of the loan.
Okay.
It's in order.
Is there a motion to?
That's who moving.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, also an action item, and this is PO 107872 to Lone Star National Bank, and this is in the amount of $44,188.86, and this is the interest payment.
That's correct.
That's the interest payment,
Yes,
and the principal was for $2,499,000.
Correct.
yes.
I just move. I second.
Moved in second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is an action item. You all have it in your packet. This is a resignation that was tendered by Mr. Jaime Martinez, Constable.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the resignation of Jaime Martinez as
Second motion.
constable.
Moved in second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Starr, did you want to say something before the meeting?
Well, I don't have anything on the agenda. I don't have any official comment on the agenda, so anything I say is not official today.
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't know if it's on the agenda.
Well,
You know, I had a question here as to when we were were you aware, Mr. Carter, that there's $1 million loan in the budget that's supposed to be counted as revenues?
well, yes, that line item is in the budget, okay? It is in the approved budget. Whether that actually happens or not is a decision by Commissioner's Court.
But what I'm trying to say, those are, and this is the first time I hear about it, last time we were here. And I looked into the budget and there was a $1 million, it said loan. So that's $1 million we're counting as revenues, which we haven't borrowed.
So it'll be up to Commissioner's Court to
Yeah.
borrow it later in the year if it's needed. Okay, if that's, just because it's there doesn't mean it has to happen.
Can I help you with that, Mr.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, I was approached by the treasurer in the last meeting going out, when are you gonna pay the $1 million that's in revenue? Well, I cannot pay what's in revenue. Revenue is money that comes in. I went back and looked at it. We do not have a loan. It's a line item, but we also have line items for a lot of other things that are never needed and never used. When and if money's needed, then we got debt. Then we need to think about paying. But right now, we don't owe anything. So there's no concern about paying it at this time. There's other revenues that will be coming in that are not in budget. So I don't see why a concern.
Was that the issue that, no, we don't owe those $1 million?
We don't.
We have borrowed them.
Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Garza, what's on the agenda, or
I guess
what's in the
we don't
budget,
count, huh?
what's on the agenda and what's on the budget, is not to pay the note of 1 million on the revenue side of the budget, is that the only way that you were able to balance the 2017 budget, because you were so deep in the hole, the only way to balance the budget was to put a line item that you were gonna borrow $1 million. And that item was placed there to borrow $1 million so that you didn't have to hire another 35 employees, cut another $100,000 from each commissioner. That'll only give you 600. You still got 400,000 more to go for $1 million. The deficit, cumulative deficit from the budget crisis is so huge that you are required to borrow $1 million. Now, you don't have to, like the judge said. But if you do not borrow $1 million, you cannot give the requested 150,000 for indigent defense, the 100,000 for capital outlay, the 400,000 requested for additional food, the 85,000 requested for additional water bill for the jail, the 22,000 for the captain.
Mr. Pena, hold on just a second.
That total to $1 million. If you give this, if you
Mr. Pena, to
approve-
begin with, the chair never acknowledged you, so you have no right to be speaking.
Okay.
I'll let you speak, because I just want to be
You already
courteous with
interrupted
you.
me. I was already
I'll-
authorized to speak, but it's okay,
No,
whatever
you're
you
not.
want to do,
I never said, Mr. Pena, can you speak?
whatever you
To
want to do.
begin with, that $1 million has not been borrowed. Now, are we gonna need it? I don't know. Mr. Carter doesn't know, and he's the one looking at the numbers every day. Is there a possibility? Maybe. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We might not need to borrow $1 million or 400,000 or whatever. I guess the point to be made here is that it's always the same thing. You know, the county is in dire, we're broke, we don't have any money, the sky is falling, Chicken Little is going around town. You know, it's always the same story. And it's not true. That's not a fact. The fact is we've just made the payment on the $2.5 million. We're paid, we've got another $2.5 million in the bank. There's still monies coming in. There's other monies coming in from other wind farms. So, you know, to project what's gonna happen in September of this year is ludicrous. You know, I don't think anyone can do that. And if anyone can, then you're in the wrong business. You should be fortune telling somewhere. But as far as that $1 million up, and you're right, Commissioner Edson and Commissioner Alvarez, that $1 million was never presented to the court when the budget was presented. You know, nobody knew about that $1 million, that it was there to balance a budget.
I knew, it's just that we do not owe them, I'll be fair to the court. It's in the line item of the budget, but we haven't borrowed them.
Correct.
We haven't
You're
borrowed
gonna
them.
have to cut
And
the
Mr. Carter, and the budget amendments,
by $1 million.
the budget amendment, Mr. Carter, we agreed.
That you're gonna need to stop
Hold on,
lying
Mr.
to the people.
The budget amendment, Mr. Carter, we agreed last time that they were gonna be taken one at a time.
Correct.
And
It's a good thing, that loan is actually in the budget, so you won't have to come back and amend the budget later in case we really do need it.
Yeah.
Secondly, the only comment that and it's, you know, I know I'm preaching to the choir. Personally, I would have preferred to do this, to address this issue in a comprehensive manner instead of piecemeal. There's a lot of work left to be done. You know, there are many departments that need additional funding, and there are many obligations, or not contractual obligations, but there are many needs of the county that will have to be addressed in the coming few months. The indigent defense and other things that are required per terms of grants and different laws and regulations. And those can all be addressed one at a time if you choose to do it that way. I would prefer to do it, you know, I would prefer to do it in a comprehensive manner. I would prefer to put recommendations on the table to do it all at once, so that you have knowledge of the cumulative effect, instead of doing it one at a time and then having to recalculate the entire budget after every amendment.
What,
But
Mr. Carter,
you can address it however you want. to
No,
address
I'm
it.
not saying that. The thing is, Mr. Carter, that when this budget was made, and I vote on it, okay? There's $1 million revenue that we have not got, and that's supposed to be in the expenditure. So that $1 million includes in the expenditure that was allocated to every department. So we're still $1 million short, because that, we're counting that,
Well,
as
you
that
haven't
money
borrowed
is
it
already
yet.
here.
You haven't borrowed it
Yeah.
yet, so.
No, but I'm saying, but there's, that budget is there, that $1 million is in the, counted in the revenue
Yeah, well,
to come and balance the budget at the end of the year.
let me just make one statement. If the budget was written in stone, and this is what it is, and we're not gonna deviate from this, then that is correct. But it's not.
exactly.
And I'll give you an example, just the jail itself, and Mr. Carter and I have gone through these numbers. And I had suggested to Mr. Carter that we do only those things that are absolutely necessary, and then we wait a few months and see how the cash flow is coming in. If the jail continues to produce $250,000 a month, we have an extra $1 million left right now that we could move. So that was not in the budget. So that wipes out that $1 million loan or proposal. So there's a lot of variables that come into the budget. It's not, it's a working instrument. It's not something that's written in stone. The only thing written in stone is what we can spend, but revenues vary. Is that correct?
And I hope you're right, Judge, but for the past, I don't know how many years,
Uh-huh.
the same story has, no, we're
Yeah.
gonna be all right, we're
And
gonna be
let
all
me,
right.
yeah, let me reiterate on that. For the past 18 years, this county has never had the stability that it had had. What happened the last 2 years, Commissioner, I think you're well aware of it, but right now it's political. But what happened in the last 2 years, the revenues didn't come in because of different things. One was the maquinitas, the lawsuit with Duke Energy, they didn't pay. There were a lot of variables that came into play, and that's the reason. At the state of the county, back in February, I said we were gonna be short about $2 million this year, so it's no surprise. I mean, the numbers are there. And I said, we'll probably be short $2 million, and we were. So, now I'm saying there could be a possibility that we might need a few $100,000 at the end of the year. I don't think we'll need $1 million, anywhere close to that.
If we just try, Mr. Carter, if we just try to stay within that budget, we're
That's
gonna
it.
be okay, if we try. If we deviate from that budget, we're gonna fail.
Commissioner Alvarez, if you stay within the budget and you don't borrow the million, you're gonna be upside down 1 billion.
We'll figure that out for the.
You have you have to balance the budget.
That's not so.
Vera, you need to stop lying.
I'm lying.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said that, and I'll have you removed, Mr.
If I
Peña.
said-
You're out of order. You're out of order.
I said the truth.
Yeah, I'm not lying. The one that's trying to lie is you by putting all this crap together and saying something that doesn't exist. We have not borrowed $1 million, and chances are we will not have to borrow $1 million if the jail comes through, and the bridge has been doing exceptionally well also. Those two things continue to operate, we will not have to borrow a penny. You just want to make it sound that way for political reasons, and that's it.
We don't have to get out of line.
No, I'm done. I don't have a damn thing to tell.
I move the adjourn.
Second the motion to
Moved and
adjourn.
second to adjourn, all in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries.